It's nice easing back into old routines. Only now with extra care. Let's do it for ourselves, for our loved ones, for everyone's safety.
Hurry up, let's go. Let's go.
And staying safe starts at home.
Nice.
From how we work and learn, to the little ways we find joy. If you must head out, take extra care. Making a small effort, being mindful, they go a long way to keeping us all safe. The health of all depends on each one of us. So let's work together, using new tools and keeping to our new habits to protect the people we love. At work, let's all be good team players.
Hi, morning. How are you? Good.
A little distance between us today will be good for us all tomorrow. A little care can protect the one thing that means the world to us. So let's do our part.
Opinions expressed by the speaker, host, commentator, or other third party in ARIVA webinars, e-learning events, and/or virtual masterclass are those of the speaker, host, commentator, or third party and do not necessarily reflect and represent the views and opinions of ARIVA. Furthermore, ARIVA does not warrant, express, or imply the merchantability and fitness for a particular purpose of any product, information, service, or process presented by the speaker, host, commentator, or third party, and ARIVA specifically disclaims any legal liability or responsibility for the accuracy, completeness, or usefulness of any product, information, service, or process presented. Finally, material or information presentation, opinion, process, or service by, on any trade name, trademark, manufacturer, or otherwise during ARIVA webinars, e-learning events, and/or virtual masterclass do not constitute or imply ARIVA's endorsement or recommendation of such opinion, process, service, item, or organization.
good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Arriva Academy's free live webinar with a really interesting topic this afternoon. Our topic is Malasakit in the workplace, building a culture of authentic caring for people. I'm Kate, and I will be with everyone the whole afternoon as your host. Really excited because we are going to learn a lot from our speaker, and I'm hoping that we also will be learning a lot from our participants. Now, before we get to know our speaker, I have a few reminders just to make sure that our webinar will be running smoothly the whole afternoon. Arriva is committed to protecting your privacy, and stricter security of this webinar has been implemented. So for better viewing of your Zoom experience, we encourage you to please update your Zoom application by visiting their website. And for those of you who are using their mobile gadgets to view this webinar, you can go to either the Google Play Store or the Apple Store so you can download and install the Zoom app. Now, I want to know, is someone here joining an Arriva Academy webinar for the first time? If it is your first time, can you type hi here in the chat box? Would love to be able to welcome you. Also, let us know where you are located right now. I am here in Parañaque City. We're having a very sunny afternoon. How about the rest of our participants? I'd love to know, do we have participants who are just in Metro Manila, outside Metro Manila, nearby, Luzon, Visayas, or Mindanao, or even out of the country? We have from Alabang, and our speaker is in BGC right now. From Pampanga, we have from Laguna, Ortigas, from Cavite. Also from Taguig, Calamba, North Cotabato, Surigao, Lucena, Butuan. Wow! We have from Ermita, Manila, from Bacoor, Cavite, Pasay City, from Rizal, from Davao, from Makati, from Quezon Province, from Dagupan, Pangasinan, all the way from Iloilo, hello, from Bukawe, Pampanga, Las Piñas, Isabela, Cagayan de Oro City, Butuan, Santa Rosa, Laguna, Dagupan, Negros Occidental, Cebu, Pangasinan, Cavite, Bataan. Hello! So, well represented. Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. Magandang hapon, Pilipinas. Welcome to Arriva Academy. Very happy to have you here with us. And for those who have attended in the past, welcome back. Thank you for still being with us this afternoon. Okay, now I'm ready to do an audio check with everyone. Please type 111 here in the chat box if you can hear me loud and clear. You can also type 222 if you can't hear anything, or you can type 2121 if you can hear me, but the sound that you're hearing is choppy, it's laggy, or it's breaking up. Or you can also type question marks if you don't understand what is happening. Let me check the chat box again. I am seeing a lot of 111 and several 222s. For those of you who are having trouble with your audio, please make sure you have it checked before we start our discussion. We don't want you missing out any part of our discussion later. Later also, we'll have a 5-minute break, and I will be announcing that. And something exciting will be happening during that break time, so watch out for it. Now, participants' microphones will be temporarily disabled by our administrator during the discussion just to avoid interruptions. But for those of you who might have questions, you can click the raise hand button, okay? And then we will allow you to unmute yourself so that you can ask your question directly to our speaker, but that will be during our Q&A portion. Or you can also type your questions here in the chat box, and then I will be reading them later. An e-certificate of attendance will be awarded to participants who will successfully complete the entire virtual masterclass, and they will be available 3 to 5 working days after the learning session. Please ensure that the email address that you provided when you registered is the correct email address, because that is where we will be sending your e-certificate. That is where you will be receiving it. And a link for the feedback form will be posted here in the chat box. So there you have it. I hope you guys are ready. Let's get to know our speaker. Our speaker this afternoon is a decorated HR practitioner with 25 years of HR experience with national, regional, and global leadership roles from different industry leaders. He has strong expertise in business partnership, talent management, organization development, and HR analytics. He is a certified MBTI and DDI facilitator and a certified strategic HR business partner. As an advocate of people analytics, engagement, and wellness, he has been a keynote speaker in many occasions in Asia and Europe. He is a pioneer in the shared services industry and was appointed the 2018 chair of the GICC HR Committee and the IBPAP Capability Building Committee. Our speaker is a recognized and awarded project manager and people leader. Among the awards he received are the Globe Excellence Award for Project Management, IBM HR Partnering for Project Diamond, PMAP's Exemplar Award for People Management, one of the Philippines' most talented HR leaders, and one of the 100 Global HR Heroes by the HR World Congress. He is also recognized as one of the 100 Filipinos to follow in LinkedIn. So, ladies and gentlemen, let us welcome our speaker, Mr. Eric Riego de Dios. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Kate, and good afternoon, everyone. It's again a great pleasure to be having this conversation again with you and with everyone. No? Sa ating mga tagapakinig, Kate, maraming salamat. Kayo narito para tayo ay magkaroon ng kaunting balitaktakan, diskusyon, dahil ang sabi nga ni Kate, ang konseptong ito ay malapit sa ating mga puso bilang mga pinuno, bilang mga HR practitioners, at talaga namang kapaki-pakinabang di lang para sa ating mga organisasyon, pero sa buong komunidad na rin at sa buong Pilipinas. So magandang talakayin ito kasi minsan nakakalimutan na natin itong mahalagang konseptong ito para sa ating komunidad. No? Nakakalimutan natin na ano bang mabuting may dudulot nito, na maganda siguro mag-step back lang tayo at alalahanin natin ano ba yung Pilipinong kaugalian na nagbibigay buhay sa tunay na pagmamalasakit sa bayan, sa organisasyon, at sa ating mga pamilya. So magandang pag-usapan natin yan, Kate, no? So siguro
Yes.
magsimula na tayo if you're all ready, everyone's all ready. So let's go. I'm
Yeah, I'm
very
sure
excited,
everyone's
Kate.
excited to listen to you.
So I'm happy to learn from everyone because we believe, Kate, that no one has the monopoly of truth, especially when we talk about a concept that is deeply ingrained in our Filipino culture. Kasi itong mga konseptong ito, dapat kasi isinasabuhay ito eh. Hindi mo mararanasan ang tunay na definition ng isang konsepto kung ikaw mismo ay hindi mo naranasan ito sa buhay mo. Kaya maganda tayo, magtalakayan tayo, mag-exchange tayo ng ideas dahil mas maisasabuhay natin at mabibigyang buhay ang mga konseptong Pilipino na talaga namang magpapa-distinguish sa atin bilang pinuno o bilang HR practitioners in the Philippines. So we will be discussing malasakit in the workplace. No, sabihin nyo lang sa akin kung medyo hindi din nyo gamay ang wikang Pilipino kasi dito meron tayong mga talakayan na talagang tutukoy sa mga konseptong Pilipino. So, wala tayong choice kundi magsalita siguro ng Tagalog. Sabihin nyo lang sa akin, kailangan ko talagang i-translate sa English, although talagang mahirap yun gawin. Kagaya nga mismo ng konsepto ng malasakit. Ang malasakit mismo ay isang konseptong Pilipino na wala talagang direct translation sa English, no? So kaya siguro subukan natin, linangin natin ang lahat ng ating kakayanan at pangunawa sa konseptong malasakit para tingnan natin kung ano ba, saan tayo makakarating when we try to define the concept of malasakit. Eric, can we go to the next slide? And maybe let's set up our word cloud. So we are inviting everyone to participate in this word cloud, no? Sasagutin natin what comes to mind when you hear about the word malasakit. Yan, tingnan natin kasi makakatulong to sa ating pagbigay buhay, sa ating pag-define kung ano ba ang ibig sabihin ng malasakit. Can we go on to the next slide, Eric, so that everyone could see our code? So go to your www.mentimeter.com and then use the code 89002431. Sige. So there is a QR code. You can actually scan the QR code. You can actually go to the website menti.com and then use the code 89002431. Yan. Ayan, may mga pumapasok na.
So
May
Eric,
puso.
just a reminder for our participants, yung mga nagta-type sa chat box here sa Zoom, I suggest you really go to the website,
Yes, I
menti.com,
agree.
so you're
Oo.
part of this
Yes.
activity there.
Thanks, Kate, for that reminder, no? So kung kayo man ay nag-type in sa ating chat box, mas makakatulong yan kung isasama nyo sila dito sa ating word cloud. Kasi dito natin mabubuo kung ano ba yung definition ng mga almost 400 viewers, 400 participants ng ating Arriva Academy webinar. No? So unti-unti nabubuo. So may mga nakita ko dito sa chat box natin, i-transfer natin siya sa ating word cloud. Maging nasa Zamboanga ka man, Laguna, Cabuyao, we are well represented, Luzon, Visayas, Mindanao. So let's really try to together define what is malasakit. Sabi nga natin, there is no one person who would have the monopoly when it comes to really defining malasakit. Minsan nararanasan mo to sa iba't ibang pamamaraan, iba't ibang sitwasyon, meron kang very critical situations where malasakit was really brought to life but by that critical situation that might have happened to you directly or might have happened to a close loved one. Ayan. So ang dami ng input. Thank you so much. Yes. Wow. Caring care, no? Meron din tayong nakikita dyan na empathy. At madami, no? Kasi usually, when we actually define a concept, minsan may mga talagang nabubuo na mga related words. However, dito, napaka-diverse, no? Napaka-diverse ang perspective. Meron din tayong makatao, meron tayong empathy, meron tayong sympathy, meron tayong sa puso, at meron tayong love o pag-ibig. Talagang mahirap talagang ikahon, no? Mahirap ikahon ang konsepto ng malasakit. Pero sa pagkakataong ito, i-try lang siguro natin magkaroon tayo ng operational delineation. Kasi kung hindi natin to talaga makakahon, even for our conversation, mahirap nating i-bring down to ground and we'll be able to discuss this in a more operational and concrete way. So having said that, i-call out ko lang siguro yung mga nakikita nyo rin naman to, no, para dun sa mga hindi nakakita, no. Kitang-kita dito at lutang na lutang. It says care, concern, empathy, compassion, consideration, caring, no. Meron din diyan makatao, may puso, good deeds. Ayan, good deeds ibig sabihin may action. Yan, tama ba yun? Ganyan pa talagang definition? Very good, no? Maraming 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 salamat. So dahil sa participation ninyo, mas nabubuo at mas nagkakaroon tayo ng idea kung ano-ano ba ang pinanggagalingan ng bawat isa sa atin when we try to define malasakit. It's very important. It's a very important concept. And I'm sure that, kahit magstay tayo dito for hours and hours, hindi matatapos yung mga idea na magko-cross sa mind natin at even situations that would really bring to life the real meaning of malasakit. So thank you so much for all of your participation. We have a very rich input here and underscores, the real concept of malasakit. And you will see that malasakit, it has different facets, no, like a diamond. It has different perspectives. It has different facets, and each one of us could actually bring that to life in his or her very own special way. So thank you so much for your participation. So let's try to concretize this when we try to actually talk about malasakit. First and foremost, let's see what are the usual common words, no, that are associated with malasakit when we go to Merriam-Webster or when we go to Wikipedia or even when you Google it up, no? So most of the things that I saw in the input in the word cloud actually are, very similar. So we saw care, we saw concern, we saw compassion. Compassion is in a way, it's not just feeling, it's a compelling emotion for you to act. Kaya nga compassion eh. And also, when you say compassion, sabi nga, com is usually used to denote union. That's why it goes to show that the next bullet is also a good segue to that. We need to show empathy. There has to be empathy because you cannot have malasakit if you are not able to feel that somehow you partake in the emotions, feelings, situations, or circumstances of that person. It would be good as well that you'll be able to feel malasakit when you have undergone the same process or if you went through the same situation. That's why empathy is very important, not only for our leaders, more for the leaders, but everyone in any organization has been calling for greater empathy from each other. No, we can never have enough empathy, and it's an ongoing journey. As you experience more in life, the more that you're able to also show, exude, and also feel in return empathy. So, empathy is very important for us to really feel the real essence of malasakit. But you know what? It doesn't end there. It doesn't end in terms of you just feeling something, being compelled to do something, or also partaking in the emotions, the feelings, and even in the misery of other people by using empathy. There is also a sense of accountability. And more than accountability, it's ownership. Bakit ganun? Bakit nagkaroon ng accountability and ownership? Kasi ang malasakit kasi ang malasakit goes beyond just feeling. When you are nagmamalasakit, you're actually compelled to do something. You are compelled to do an action. Kahit man lang sa pamamagitan ng verbal action or even actual action in terms of a behavior or in terms of a deed. Nakita ko din kanina sa word cloud natin, no? Good deeds, which is actually very close to malasakit. Malasakit is nothing. Malasakit is just sympathy if it does not have action. So bear that in mind. Malasakit is just sympathy or just empathy if there is no action. So it's important that a real definition of malasakit would have accountability and ownership as part of it. That's why we talked about action on the needs of others. Because of your feeling of accountability and ownership, you are compelled to act. You're compelled to act either by giving an advice, by doing something for the person, or even actually doing another set of action for the rest of the things that you need to do for that person or for that specific endeavor. The other thing that makes malasakit very unique is that when you are compelled to action and when you're actually done doing that action, you are not actually waiting for anything in return. That is the true trademark of malasakit. It is freely given without expecting anything in return. Otherwise, kung nag-expect tayo ng kapalit, hindi yun malasakit. Yun ay sort of investment because you're waiting for something to be given back to you for the action that you've done. So all of these things, no, I know that these are just, five English concepts woven together would really bring us closer to the real definition of malasakit in action, malasakit in the way that you feel it, in the way that you experience it. So tama yung mga sinabi nyo, no? So compassion, nandyan siya, caring for others. Meron din nagsabi dyan, no? Pag-alala, pag-aalala. Ibig sabihin you're actually caring and you're concerned. Hindi ka mag-aalala if you are not really concerned for a certain person, a certain loved one, and not even a person. It could be a company or it could be a certain situation. It could be a campaign. It could be a lobbying act or an advocacy. Nag-aalala ka for the world. For example, because masyado na ang global warming. And thus, you're also compelled to do your own thing to ensure that you contribute to that overall advocacy against global warming, for example. So, kagaya ng sabi dito, no, it's a very broad ang scope, no? It's very broad. And true enough, it is indeed very broad. So, unti-unti natin yang itatry na i-funnel. Sa pagpa-funnel natin, let's see whether we can filter it out and make sure that it has more direct operationability or application sa ating pang-araw-araw na ginagawa. Let's move on to the next slide. So, when we talk about, so inuna natin yung mga konseptong Ingles or sa wikang Ingles, siguro mas maantig ang ating damdamin at ang ating pag-iisip as well if we also append some of the concepts that are closer to the Filipino language. And the first one that I would like to share with you is the concept of kapwa. Sabi nga, kagaya dito ng empathy, na pag-usapan natin to, yung kapwa, wala rin siyang direct translation sa English eh. When we look it up into the dictionary, makikita ka dyan, kindred spirit. More on sa ano yun eh, sa spirituality or the nature of the person. Meron din tinatawag na fellow. Yung fellow is parang parehas lang kayo, meaning it could be a colleague or someone of the same stature. Or sabi din doon, ibang definition is both. Ibig sabihin, pareho kayo. So having said that, yung kapwa kasi, mas malalim ang pinag-uugatan sa konseptong Pilipino. Sa konseptong Pilipino, yung pagsakapwa, higit lang sa pagiging pareho, mas hinuhukay nito yung konsepto na meron ka na parte siya at meron siya na parte mo. Na kumbaga, kung nakikita mo siyang nagdurusa o nagkakaroon ng difficult situation, may naantig sa loob mo. At kaya nakukompel ka rin to do a demonstration of malasakit. So ganun siya kalalim. It's not just, being empathetic, because being empathetic is you are just feeling and putting yourself in the situation of others. Sa konsepto ng kapwa, meron kang parang may parte ka na nandun sa taong yun, o ang taong yun ay may parte din sa'yo, kaya mas madikit at mas malalim ang embedding ng empathy. Kumbaga para siyang empathy to the third level, so to speak, no? So yan ang konsepto ng kapwa sa konseptong Pilipino, na talagang buhay na buhay at hindi ka magkakaroon ng konsepto ng malasakit o buong konsepto ng malasakit kung mababaw ang pagkakaunawa mo sa konsepto ng kapwa. Ikalawa, what is the next concept? Kapakanan. Kapakanan. Sa kapakanan ito, ibig sabihin, nagkakaroon tayo ng malasakit sa iba dahil tayo ay nagki-care o may pake sa mga ibang tao, sa isang sitwasyon o sa certain advocacy dahil gusto mong maitama o maiayos o maipunta sa mas maayos na lugar o sitwasyon ang isang tao o ang isang sitwasyon o ang isang advokasya. So we are always thinking of the kapakanan of that object of our malasakit. Hindi din mabubuhay ang malasakit kung walang pag-iisip at kung hindi buo ang konsepto ng kapakanan. Ikatlo, pananagutan. So, nag-isip din tayo kanina, no, may mga nagsabi sa inyo na there is accountability. Diba? There is accountability and there is a sense of ownership na hindi mo lang siya pwedeng pabayaan dahil meron kang pananagutan na iwasto, itama, o maibsan, o gawing magaang ang sitwasyon. No? Meron tayong pananagutan, meron tayong responsibilidad. Kaya hindi lang tayo pwedeng maupo at damahin ang mga nangyayari sa kapaligiran natin nang hindi tayo kikilos at magkaroon ng aksyon para sa ikabubuti ng mga bagay-bagay. Yan, merong pananagutan. Ikaapat, yan, bayanihan. For sure, kayo din, no? Ang bayanihan kasi, it is more than collaboration. It is more than just teamwork. Kasi sa bayanihan, may aspeto ng talagang real goal. May aspeto ng pananagutan, kasama doon, kapakanan at pakikipagkapwa-tao. You are willing, there's also an element of sacrifice na, okay, ititigil ko muna tong ginagawa ko para makatulong sa aking kapwa, para maibsan ang kanyang kalagayan, at hindi lang ako na amplify yung pag-iisip na yon at ang adikaing yon ng iyong mga kapwa-tao. Kaya tulong-tulong kayo tungo sa adikaing yon. Yan ang kagandahan ng bayanihan. More than teamwork, more than collaboration, there is a deeper sense of kapwa, there is a deeper sense of pananagutan, and there is also a deeper sense of even personal sacrifice na hindi naghihintay ng kapalit. At panglima, pag-asa. Napakagandang mga konsepto. Ginagawa natin to dahil tayo ay napupuno ng pag-asa. Umaasa tayo na magkakaroon ng magandang bukas. Umaasa tayo na magkakaroon ng magandang kahinatnan ng ginagawa natin. Umaasa tayo na ang taong to na pinaglalaanan natin ng malasakit, siya ay mapupunta sa mas maayos na lugar at maiibsan ang kanyang pagdurusa. So napakalalim ng mga konseptong ito, kaya napakahirap din na talagang magbigay lang tayo ng isa, dalawa, tatlong statements that would define malasakit for us. Lahat ng ito, madaming aspeto, naggagawa siya ng buong dynamics just to bring to life the deep and the real concept of malasakit. Okay? Sana naman nagkaroon kayo ng mas magandang perspektibo na hindi lang ang malasakit is really just more than caring, more than having compassion. It's yes, it's all of those things and more and more. And hindi din siya buo kung hindi nyo dadalhin ang konsepto ng pakikipagkapwa, kung hindi nyo iisipin ang kapakanan ng tao, kung hindi nyo mararamdaman na kayo ay may pananagutan, at kung hindi nyo rin mararamdaman na hindi kayo kaisa ng isang mas malaking komunidad na nagtutulong-tulong tungo sa isang layo na yun. At tayo at kayo ay tinutulak ng matinding sense of hope o pag-asa. Ayan, napakaganda mga konsepto, no? So sabi ko nga, baka hindi tayo matapos sa pag-usap ng mga bagay-bagay na ito. So let's move on. I'm sure you might have some questions. We can park it. Now that we know more or less, no, from an English translation, we had the word cloud, we had some translations in English. We also talked about deeper, deeper concepts in the Filipino vernacular and how do they interact with each other to bring to life the concept of malasakit. We also need to understand for us to have a full perspective of the concept of malasakit, of what it is, by amplifying what it is not. No? So mas maganda ding ma-define natin ang konsepto ng malasakit by also giving an example on what malasakit is not. So first, let us see. Malasakit is not blind generosity. No? So pag-usapan natin to. So kasi pag malasakit, akala natin na bigyan natin o pabayaan natin, dagdagan pa natin. Let's try to sacrifice and give more. Alalahanin natin yung konsepto din ng ikakabuti. Kasi things that are beyond what is right or moderate, nagiging masama siya. Hindi naman tayo pwedeng umasa sa kumpanya na magbibigay lang si kumpanya ng mas mataas na increases, mas mataas na mga benefits. Lahat yan ay merong sarili-sarili niyang pakay o tungo or goal. So dapat ang pag-iisip natin sa malasakit ay actually tempered. Yes, it's generosity, but it is not limitless or it is not blind generosity, which at the end of the day might even cause greater problems for us, 'di ba? Baka magkaroon tayo ng greater dependency, which defeats the purpose of malasakit. Malasakit is actually at the end of the day, sabi natin na pupuno tayo ng pag-asa na magiging mas mabuti ang kalagayan ng bawat isa. So, anything that is excessive has its own negative impact. So number 2, blind leniency. Kung may malasakit ka, lalo na kung ikaw ay isang ina o isang ama o isang talagang tunay na kaibigan, hindi mo lang hahayaan ang iyong kaibigan o ang iyong anak na bahala na siya sa buhay niya kung saan siya masaya. Ang tunay na malasakit ay hindi lang nagbibigay. Sometimes you even prevent people or withhold things kung ikakabuti naman ng tao. No? So yan ang dapat nating isipin. Ang malasakit ay hindi lang pagbibigay. Sometimes nagmamalasakit ka by withholding things that would make the situation worse or that would push that person to the brink of disaster. So kung may pagmamalasakit tayo, dapat hindi tayo blindly being generous, hindi din tayo blindly being lenient. At last but not the least, you know, malasakit is not for the good of one or a few. Malasakit is for the good of everyone. Hindi tayo magbabayanihan, hindi tayo magkakaroon ng concept of community kung ang mga generosity o ang kabutihang nadudulot ay para lamang sa isa o sa mas sa mga konting tao lamang ang apektuhan. Ito ay para sa buong komunidad kung hindi man lang sa buong sambayanan. So malasakit really is there because we know that we are all in the same situation, and not is this situation is not just experienced by a few or one, but by everyone. So that is really, to the extreme is the real example of malasakit. Ano? So I'm sure there are a lot of things happening in your mind right now. So what is really the malasakit? So let's try to pull the malasakit from the air and pull it more to the ground so that we'll be able to operationalize this and have a sense of how do we use malasakit in the workplace. So next slide, please, Eric. So now we said that we will be pulling this to the ground. No, one of the big things that we could get or leverage from malasakit is actually increasing engagement. So when we say increase engagement, we will try to leverage the concept of Hewitt engagement. So when we say that you have high engagement, when your organization they say that they're engaged, they stay in the organization, and they even strive for the betterment of the organization. So, itong mismo mga konseptong ito ng say, stay, and strive, again, coming from the Hewitt framework, buong-buo din siya at na-amplify niya ang konsepto ng malasakit when it comes to engagement. So first, if you have malasakit, then definitely you will be observing people, being great ambassadors. They're saying that your organization is great. There is a genuine expression of admiration and appreciation, and there is also a genuine expression of commitment, not only from employees but also from the leaders, more so from the leaders. No, so and beyond saying, they're actually staying in organizations. No, so we also say they stay. So the next bullet there says stay. There you go. No, in staying, you are not just staying for staying sake. No, it's really beyond attrition. So when we talk about staying, it's all about creating a very supportive environment. No, so you don't just stay for staying sake. You go 10 years, 5 years, 10 years. It is really a more productive stay where you create a supportive environment, an environment that is really sustainable, that is really fostering greater productivity, greater innovation, and then a greater sense of belonging and camaraderie along the way. So you are not just staying there as an individual, but by staying, you also create that environment where people could also stay in the long run. So say, stay, and the last bullet is all about strive. Sa tatlong konsepto ng say, stay, and strive, yung strive ang pinakamalaman at saka siya ang pinaka nagsasabi na talagang may malasakit in the workplace. Bakit? Bakit strive? Kasi sabi naman natin, it elevates the commitment and also the practice of continuous improvement. No, you always strive to do things better, not just excellent, but you are striving to make sure that next time around you will be innovating, you will be creative, you will make things much better because you have malasakit in the workplace. Sabi nga dito, it is the pinnacle of malasakit when it comes to demonstrating the malasakit in the workplace. We talked about malasakit as a selfless action. Sabi nga natin, hindi naghihintay ng kapalit. No? So within this concept of strive, malasakit is further amplified or highlighted by selfless action. So dito ka na makakita ng, kahit magstay ka sa workplace, sa workstation mo, without asking anything in return. And sometimes may yung mga bayani natin diyang empleyado, no? I'm not saying that this is a good behavior, but sa kanila, kahit wala ng overtime, kahit hindi na sila mag-file ng kanilang, overtime meal, okay lang sa kanila kasi they know that they are working for something that would really uplift not only their situation, but the situation of their co-employees and the situation of the whole organization. Selfless action. Third, sabi nga natin, hindi lang to sa isang tao eh. It's a collective spirit of bayanihan. And there is a perfect shared responsibility. Malasakit is really beyond a personal endeavor. It is really a community endeavor for every one of us. It's a shared responsibility. And ang maganda dito, you feed on each other with that kind of passion so that collectively you push each other towards the goal that you have set together as well. So, so we are seeing the malasakit when there is really a strong engagement in the workplace. When people say that they are engaged, they stay for the long run and they just don't stay. They create a sustainable working environment, not only for themselves, but for the others. And that's why they also strive and sacrifice and do the extra mile. Right? Next slide, please. All right. So now I've been talking for, about 20 minutes now. So I would like to invite you again to share with me, in this time around, again, another word cloud. When do you see malasakit? When have you seen malasakit? In what situation are you seeing malasakit in your day-to-day experience with your colleagues? So please, Eric, if we could move on to the next slide. So go to mentimeter.com. Ayan. And then 89002431. Don't go to the chat. Don't encode in your chat. Just try to share with us. Kailan ka ba huling nakakita ng malasakit? Maybe personal experience? O baka nakita mo sa iyong katrabaho? O baka ikaw mismo naka-experience galing sa iyong magulang, galing sa iyong kapatid, galing sa iyong katrabaho, galing sa iyong boss, no? So go to mentimeter.com and then use the 89002431. Ayan. Kailan ba kayo nakakita? So kailan ka ba huling nag-participate sa isang bayanihan?
Yes. Sir
Yeah.
Eric, I just would like to also invite our audience from the live streams. So to be
Yes.
part of this activity, you could just have to go to menti.com, that's a website, and then type in the
Perfect.
code 89002431 so that you can be part of this activity. We also would love to hear from them.
Yes, thanks, Kate. Malasakit is also being mindful that no one is left behind. So thank you for that action, Kate. So that's malasakit in action. All right. So we wanted to make sure that this is an inclusive activity. So, varied, no? Very good, no? Wonderful. So nakikita natin, no? Wow. So hindi ko lang alam kung nakikita nyo rin yung nakikita ko. So workplace is a very evident and
Yes.
it is surfacing in all of the among the different words, no?
It's the
Workplace.
biggest. It's the biggest right now.
Right. So I don't know whether I'm surprised or not, but in a way, I was not expecting workplace to be the most prominent word so far, no? So workplace. So I'm sure that, uh, bayanihan, that, malasakit is still very much alive, no? That's what I'm seeing here. Typhoon, also I'm seeing.
The word family
Community.
also.
Wow, yes. And pero Kate, no, as you were seeing, there is also a diversity of words there, no, surrounding. So ibig sabihin, we are seeing malasakit everywhere, right? And sabi din dito, no, may nagsasabi from Lisa Jean Balderas, workplace, because every day we are in the workplace, right? So for all intents and purposes, might as well experience that in the workplace as well. And how sad if we don't as well, right? Wonderful. Wow. So meron din yung mga blood donation, giving of
Mhm.
food. Wonderful.
In
Community
times of difficulty.
outreach. Oh, wow. In times of difficulty. More so in times of difficulty, right, Kate? right? So
Yes.
every day we can practice malasakit, but we need to amplify that. Yes, of course, in times of difficulty. Wonderful. Wow. Wow. Family problems, they're seeing that as well, no? Very diverse. And thank you so much for all of your input. Everything is, I guess, many of us are participating. That's why we're seeing a lot of input there, Kate. But
Up
lo
to
and
now po,
behold,
maraming dumadagdag pa.
up to now, yes, so let's, probably give them a bit more time. Pero nakikita ko dito, family, typhoon, again, workplace, still the most prominent word, no? Community, care, ayan. Food, yan, teamwork,
Outreach programs.
outreach programs.
This is
Wow.
very simple. Sharing an umbrella. May
Oh,
nagsabi po
wow.
nun.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
malasakit. Sharing an umbrella.
Yes. And you know what, Kate? Maraming nagsasabi din sa akin, no? Sometimes, yung isang nagsabi sa akin na, kailan mo huling naranasan yung malasakit? Sabi niya, huli ko naranasan yung malasakit nung pumasok ako sa elevator. I was so down, I was so frustrated because I just lost my job. And
Oh,
then when I entered that elevator, I saw a person gave me the sweetest, most comforting smile. So,
yes.
Kate, even in those small acts of gesture, you could actually turn and be the world for that person who is just recovering from the shock of losing his or her job. So
Yes.
talagang makikita natin yan sa iba't ibang sulok ng mundo, sa iba't ibang pamamaraan. So yung simple acts of kindness, Kate, and simple gestures, we don't know that it will go a long way and it will cast a very long shadow. Hindi nyo lang alam kung yung simple acts of kindness ninyo talagang nababaliktad
Tubo.
nyo yung whole situation and could mean the world for that person in that certain situation. So
Yes.
isa lang din ang sinasabi sa akin dito, no, Kate, no? Not, in a world where you can choose to be anyone else and anything else, choose to be
Be
kind.
kind.
In
Yes.
the simple way of really changing the world in your own special way. Ayan, ako, maraming maraming salamat, no? We can never have enough of malasakit in this world. And it's a great place that we are able to amplify that with a Filipino flavor. Di ba kakaibang Filipino flavor? That's why I'm very proud of this country. And sana naman, no, talagang linangin natin, patuloy tayong magpunyagi, talagang to amplify those Filipino virtues, no? Not only in the workplace, anywhere else. So, thank you so much for all of your input. No, napaka-rich na nakuha nating input here. Thank you so much. And some of you are saying typhoon. Some of you are saying, yeah, illness, sickness. Wonderful. I really appreciate all of the input. Let's move on, Eric, to the next slide, please. Ayan, so that's essentially, So, ine-expect ko din na sana nakita ko yung pandemic, no? But it was not as prominent as workplace, family. But do you agree that during the 2 years of the pandemic has brought out the best in us? Do you agree? Just type in if you do. Do you agree that the pandemic has brought in probably for some the worst in the situation, but definitely brought out the best in the human spirit? Yes, I definitely agree. No, so feeling ko naramdaman niyo yan in a place where you thought that you'll not be able to get some food or get an important item. Lo and behold, nandyan kagad yung kapitbahay ninyo. Handang tumulong, handang maghatid sa inyo, handang bumili, handang, it brought out the best in people. It brought out the best in us. We're able to, introspect, and create our own impact to an otherwise gloomy world, no? So maraming maraming salamat. So in the pandemic, let's just review, no? Let's just step back in this very momentous occasion. No? We can see it, as the gloomiest part of our life, probably one of the saddest and probably the darkest, but it could also be the brightest. So in the pandemic, we saw the following. So Eric, move on. So people have been really more caring, right? And then people have been, next slide, reaching out and connecting. Hindi ba kayo nagpapasalamat na parang down na kayo, all of a sudden, you have this friend who just sent you a message and all probably called. It really meant the whole world. during that time. And then providing support and assistance, providing space and time and understanding. During that time, people are more forgiving, people are more understanding, people are more caring, and sometimes they even do their own sacrifices by rechanneling their resources, no, just to be sure that they're able to help everyone. Ayan, so I'm sure you saw these as well. You have had your personal situations and personal experiences, and I hope that we can definitely amplify this a bit more. Moving on to the next slide. Ayan. So as we see different people doing those different acts of kindness in their own personal way in the communities, we also saw our corporations, our organization do the very same thing, no? So unang-una pa lang, as a first example, immediately we became lenient and enabled everyone to really work from home, for example. That's the first bullet, right? So provisions to work from home. So there are organizations immediately they made that decision. They even went to the different households of their employees just to set up. And then they bought laptops, they bought provisions for connectivity and so on and so forth. And everyone really benefited from it and everyone tried to follow suit. And then more than the work from home setup, of course, you all experienced this. We had care kits, no? And then there were new financial assistances. There were provisions, no? So you can apply loans, and sometimes you can advance your vacation leave and advance your 13th month pay. And then they are providing vaccination not only for you, but also for your loved ones, even for the entire families. So for some organizations who have allocated some budget for certain projects, for certain goals, they actually freely tried to rechannel all of those just to provide that support system for all of us during those trying times. No, you experience this, no? For example, when they renewed HMO, or even hindi pa nga nag-renew HMO, they made provisions and made investments to make sure that the HMO, in a way, and the coverage would show how much corporations and companies really care for their employees, and much, much more. Hindi lang dito nagtatapos. I'm sure some of you have experienced the generosity of your organizations in trying to alleviate the situation, providing more benefit than what is needed, even from the burial benefit, hospitalization, and so on and so forth. Because in a way, they know that you know employees are really more than just resources. They are real partners of organizations. And hopefully you also felt that way during those times. No? So you're fortunate if your organization is like that. And of course, when you feel that your organization is like that, you couldn't help but also show the same malasakit to your organization. You become more particular about taking care of your customers because they are your means and ways of livelihood where you can get the revenue. You also feel, again, there is a sense of pananagutan when you want to ensure that, the organizations would not unnecessarily get expenses or be subject to more expenses and cost. So become more cognizant, even turning off the light or switching off the air conditioning system. All of those small acts of being conscious of malasakit would really go a long way. So that's why these employees are returning that sense of ownership and accountability to the employers. So taking care of properties of their own, as we have mentioned earlier, and of course, as we saw in the say, stay, and strive concept, they are the ones who actually do the extra mile and make sacrifices just to ensure that all of us are actually, successful in the long run. Di ba sabi nga natin, the malasakit and the real malasakit is not just a personal endeavor. It is a bayanihan endeavor in the Philippines. It is a community endeavor. It is a workforce endeavor. That's why when malasakit, when demonstrated by one, actually is amplified by the bayanihan, it becomes an unstoppable force in any organization. So it becomes a real impactful way of delivering business, value, and impact. All right. So, Kate, I'm mindful of the time, and I know that we will have a break at 2:45. I guess it's a good way for us as well to wind down for the first segment of our conversation. So far as a review, no, we tried to define malasakit in many ways. We defined it in English terminologies. We defined it as well by discussing very close concepts in Tagalog, kapwa, pananagutan, bayanihan, so on and so forth. And we also saw how this brings to life engagement in the stay and strive. And how do we see malasakit in the workplace, and how this is also being demonstrated by our employees through the customer focus, being mindful of expenses, and considering properties and the whole organization as their own, having that entrepreneurial spirit as well, and taking on the extra mile, making sacrifices without necessarily expecting something in return. So I guess it's a good way to take a pause for now, Kate, and let me turn it over back to you for the meantime.
Thank you so much, Sir Eric. Maraming salamat. Hi, good afternoon again, everyone. I am back. I mentioned a while ago that we're going to have a break, and that is now. So we're going to have a quick break, and something exciting is going to happen during this break time, okay? We are going to play a game, and this game will have two winners. Each winner will be receiving 200 pesos. That's going to go straight to your GCash account. Ayan. Imagine you're here attending a free live webinar, learning a lot from our speaker already, but you have a chance to become 200 pesos richer at the end of this day. So I hope you guys are ready, because I am ready to play with everyone, and this is our game. It's called Guess the Movie. Ayan. We will find out, meron ba tayong mga participants who are movie buffs, mahilig manood ng movies. We'll see. So this is how the game goes. We will be showing you short clips or short trailers of some movies. This is what you have to do. You have to be the first one to type the complete and correct title of that movie here in the chat box. Pabilisan talaga to dapat, okay? Kailangan complete and correct title. And if you're the one who does that, instant 200 pesos for you. Okay, now for you guys to get the feel of the game, let's do a trial run. Okay, no prize yet, but I want you to start guessing the title of this movie.
I love you guys. Thank you.
All right, let's do this.
Let's go.
Okay, here are the answers. We have Spider-Man 3, Spider-Man No Way Home. We have Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man. We have Spider-Man 3, Homecoming. Spider-Seapard Man Comes Home. Spider-Man Multiverse, No Way Home Spider-Man. A lot of variations. Let's see, what is the correct title of that movie? It is Spider-Man No Way Home. I've seen a lot of answers, pero parang hindi yata may nakakuha. Again, let me remind all of our participants, we're looking for the complete and correct title. That means, bawal ang typo. We will not be accepting that. Bawal ang kulang na words. Bawal din ang sobra. It has to be the exact title. Okay? I hope everyone is clear with that, because this next film will give you 200 pesos. Let's watch it.
Father to a murdered son, husband to a murdered wife, and I will have my vengeance.
Today I saw a slave become more powerful than the Emperor of Rome.
They said you were a giant. I shall cheer for you.
Okay, let me just check. The chat box is moving so fast. It's hard for me na humabol. Let me see. Iron Man, The Rebirth. We have Hunger Games. We have Titanic. Are you guys watching the same clip that we're watching? We have Gladiator. We have Troy, Sparta, Thor, Thunder, Spartan. Okay, so those are the answers and other variations. But let's see, what is the correct title of that movie? It is Gladiator, the first one who got it correct. We have Glyden Joy Labadia. Glyden Joy Labadia, congratulations. Glyden, this is what you have to do, okay? You have to look for Arriva Academy Philippines here in the chat box. And then once you see that, please send a private message to that account. Give us your GCash account number. Again, it has to be sent to us privately, okay? Don't send it to everyone. We're protecting your data here. Send it to us privately. And then in a little while, expect your prize. We'll be sending it to you later. Now, Glyden, because nanalo ka na, hindi ka na pwedeng sumali sa game. So that your other co-participants will have a chance in getting the last 200 pesos that I am giving away this afternoon. Okay? Again, congratulations. And to the rest of our participants, don't worry, I still have one more, the last 200 pesos. And it might be yours, so let's watch the next clip.
Whoever, we're all working our way up call sheets to sign clients. From the bottom to the top. From the doorman to the CEO. They'd stay till 7, but I had Christopher. In order not to waste any time, I wasn't hanging up the phone in between calls.
Okay, thank you very much.
I realized that by not hanging up the phone, I gained another 8 minutes.
Okay, here are your answers. We have Men in Black, Wolfgang of Wolf Street, Pursuit of Happiness. We have The Pursuit of Happiness. There are different spellings of happiness that I'm seeing here, okay? We have Frieds with Benefits, Men in Black, Pursuit, The Accountant, Pursuit of Happiness, The Persuasion, I Am Legend. So those are the answers that I saw. Let's reveal the title of this movie. It is The Pursuit of Happiness, and the spelling of happiness is with a Y instead of an I. So we have our last winner this afternoon, and that is Aldrin Cobriga. Congratulations, Aldrin! You are going to be 200 pesos richer. So meron pang Starbucks at the end of our session. Congratulations to Aldrin. Look for Arriva Academy Philippines here in the chat box and then send your GCash account number. Okay? We'll be waiting for that so that we can send you your prize. Congratulations. Glyden, congratulations to Aldrin. And thank you to everyone who joined. We're very happy, and I hope you all enjoyed that game. Now, I will be moving on with my next announcements. Stay on top of our insights and updates. Stay connected with Arriva Academy. You can join Arriva Academy's Facebook group. You can follow Arriva Academy's Facebook page. You can also follow us in LinkedIn, and also you can check out our website, arriva.com.ph. I'm also inviting everyone to be a part of the growing Arriva Academy Viber community. All you have to do is scan the QR code and instantly you will find yourself inside our Viber community. Looking forward to seeing you there. Now, for those of you who might have missed the other free live webinars that we offered, we started last 2020, okay? Just for everyone's information. So there's a lot of free live webinars already. And you can all catch them in our YouTube channels. So you can subscribe to our channels, Arriva Academy and Arriva Talks. Now, we have a pool of speakers under Arriva Speakers Bureau. And for those of you who are interested in inviting them to conduct a program exclusive for your team or for your whole company, we can help you out. Like what we are having here right now, this Malasakit program. If you want the whole company to hear it, let us know. Give us a call or send us an email and we can help you out with your in-house training needs. Let me invite you to some of our upcoming learning events. We have November 22, Leadership Skills for Supervisors in Turbulent Times. Sorry, excuse me. November 22 also, DOLE Department Order 238-23, Provisions and Compliance. November 23, BIR Computerized Accounting System. The following day, Corporate Governance for Micro, Small, and Medium Enterprises. November 29, Streamlining Business Operation, Key Tactics to Streamline Your Business Operation and Improve Workflow. Now on November 30, Risk Assessment for Budgeting and Financial Analysis for Small Businesses. And on December 1, we have Achieving Assertive Leadership. December 4, another free live webinar will happen, Sales and Social Media Marketing Mistakes to Avoid in 2024. December 5, Effective Purchasing Strategies and Negotiation Tactics. We have December 6, Data Storytelling Mastery, Crafting Compelling Stories from Complex Data for Impactful Decisions. Now on December 7, we have the Heart of Leadership. Conducting Successful Organization and HR Audit on December 8. Now, January 10, this is next year already, another free live webinar. That is how we are starting 2024 with the topic, Revolutionize HR Digital Transformation, Unleashing the Power of Generative AI, ChatGPT, and Automation for HR Professionals. January 12, another free live webinar, Next Level Leadership, Embracing New Strategies for Success in 2024. January 16, Employee Retention Strategies That Work, still a free live webinar. January 19, we have LinkedIn Breakthrough, Transform Your Business with Winning LinkedIn Strategies. So those are the programs that we have for the rest of 2023 and as early as January of 2024. For those of you who are interested in being a part of any of those programs, all you have to do is give us a call or send us an email or go to our website. That's the easiest. Go to our website so that you can register immediately online. Okay, so there you have it. I won't be taking much of your time anymore. I'm going to give the floor back to our speaker. Hi, Sir Eric. We're ready to listen.
Hello. Thank you so much, Kate. And welcome back, everyone. Magandang hapon muli sa inyong lahat. Again, a shout out to Arriva Academy for actually offering free online webinars so that everyone could elevate their career despite the trying times. No, so a shout out as well because that is a specific and remarkable example of a real malasakit for our community. So, having said that, let's see more examples of malasakit and what behaviors do we actually see when we have malasakit in the workplace. So we're defining malasakit in the workplace. We saw in general that employees are really more focused on customer care, trying to minimize wastages, trying to make sure that they take care of the company property, for example, and they're doing the extra mile right? So these are, in general manifestations of malasakit at work from an employee perspective. So let's see some more, examples of real behavior. So paano nyo ba makikita sa araw-araw yung mga manifestations of malasakit? So the first one would be, madami sa inyo nagsabi, no, supporting colleagues, offering assistance. So again, in an environment where parang we are very competitive, if we really want to make sure that we progress, sometimes our tendency is to focus on helping ourselves and also try to make sure that we accomplish things, better and be better than the rest. In an environment where malasakit is permeating, you have a safer environment where you feel that, you know, the pie is big enough for everyone, right? So everyone could be successful, everyone could be rewarded, and thus I have time to actually help, my colleague, because his or her success is my personal success as well. So that's where we're seeing that kind of environment, no, in the right setup. The next one would be team collaboration. So this is amplified, no, more than just an individual. It becomes more and more collective in spirit, and thus, because it becomes sort of a standard operating process or procedure, that everyone tries to help each other, so that team collaboration becomes second nature and an actual lifestyle for these kinds of organization. Sabi nga kanina ni Kate na there are organizations that are actually, putting malasakit as part of their values, no? So if those values are really amplified and lived, you will really see team collaboration and offering of assistance really alive in the workplace in those organizations. The third one is recognizing and acknowledging achievement, no? In a world where probably sometimes, no, you become jealous if your colleague is promoted earlier than you are. Parang in a world of malasakit, where there is malasakit, you simply become happy and try to, clap when everyone else is achieving, because I'm sure you will have your time. And in the real sense of malasakit, your colleagues who actually went up there will be helping you out as well. That's the real value of malasakit. You don't see people as competitors. You see people as a part of your network of support and of your network for a better version of yourself. Next one, promoting company and being company ambassadors. I'm sure that in a malasakit, where malasakit is permeating in the organization, mararanasan nyo to, no, makikita nyo to, no, madami ba, no? So at least ang threshold natin diyan dapat more than 50% ng company new hires actually come from referrals. Yung mga ERP ninyo, employee referral program ninyo. In you know in organizations where there is high malasakit, there's also high ERP contribution at the rate of 70%. So please check out, where do you get most of your new hires? Sa ano ba yan? Sa headhunters, sa agencies, or are your employees your actual headhunters? Make them work for you because of malasakit and bayan yan. And then also, once they are in the organization, people who have malasakit would voluntarily really help, no? So yung ibang organizations, they try to put, body system in an environment where malasakit is a way of life. People actually help each other to make sure that there is a smooth transition. Isa sa pinaka most stressful situation ng isang empleyado is, walking in a new organization. Hindi niya alam yung politics, hindi niya alam yung mga ways, and it's really comforting if you are a new employee where people really help you out, even if they're not really a part of the actual standard orientation or onboarding process. Next, encouraging work-life balance. Kayo ba yung isang organization na parang nagtitinginan at nagbabantayan kung aalis ng maaga yung isa? Kung kayo yun, baka we really need to work on further malasakit, because we understand that people have lives after our office life, and they have concerns that are beyond the professional arena. So we make sure that this environment is safe, that this environment actually fosters success in many different definitions, may it be within or outside of work. So in a malasakit environment, then we are a very forgiving, very understanding, very flexible organization. And we don't necessarily count hours, but we count the impact and relevance of the contributions of our people. Next, respect and diversity. Naka-experience pa rin ba kayo ng bullying, or are we becoming more and more open to the different people who are carrying and bringing different experiences, different voices, different colors to the workplace world, no? So if you are that kind of organization, Malasakit is slowly building up and becoming more and more alive because you are respecting each and every individuality, and you are also respecting the contribution that each person is bringing and putting on the table. So this is a very safe, psychologically safe environment where we are seeing different people of different places, contributing, amplifying themselves, taking up space. And that's why we're saying this is the kind of environment that is sustainable in a psychologically safe way as well. No, where you don't have a fear or of repercussions if ever you say something that might be contrary to some thoughts, because that's where we start innovation and creativity. May malasakit ka. And yung mga taong nagbibigay din ng mga recommendations and suggestions, that is also their way of sharing and showing malasakit to the organization because they're introducing new ways of working. And then we talked about being great stewards, right? Not only of the property of the organization or the company, they're being great stewards of the time that the company has given them as well, and being great stewards of the brand. So that's why we said good ambassadors, because you say what is beneficial to the organization, you become good ambassadors outside in the larger community. And last but not the least, in malasakit environment, you take charge of your own personal development and you don't wait for your leader to actually spoon feed you because may malasakit ka sa team mo, sa sarili mo, and you know that your personal development would actually have a ripple effect to your team, to your whole organization. Of course, you take charge and drive your own career because you're not just thinking of yourself, you are thinking the whole grand of scheme for the whole organization. So you are seeing this. So if you are seeing this, then I'm happy for you because your organization is actually full and alive and bringing and amplifying malasakit more to the new level in the workplace. However, let me pause because our next input here is, so before that, there is another slide where we can see it collectively that we have malasakit. So the next slide was some sort of summarize, malasakit in the workplace because it brings all together a high performing organization. So what is the indication of that? So this is lifted from an article coming from LinkedIn, and this is coming from the article of certain Joselito Malyari. So the first one is malasakit is the reason why an employee would work extra hours to finish a task without charging his employer. So that's an example. The next one is malasakit is the reason why an employee would help out other co-employees who talk about that when he or she gets stuck in a difficult situation or a task. And the third one, malasakit is the reason why an employee will exercise prudence in the use of company resources. And as I've mentioned, this is all about from the article of Joselito Malyari in LinkedIn. However, Joselito Mariali also has an observation. And I don't know whether you would agree with me, but let's go to this next Mentimeter cloud, word cloud activity. So earlier on, I talked about and we talked about how you are seeing malasakit. But now, how are you seeing lack of malasakit? Okay? This is not a trick word. You don't just reverse it. Kailan ba yung huling pagkakataon na sana para namang walang malasakit si kumpanya, para namang walang malasakit si boss, o para namang walang malasakit yung katrabaho ko sa kumpanya? So when is the last time or what behavior does did you experience that show lack of malasakit? Yan. So again, it's the mentimeter.com. Same code 89002431. We're also inviting everyone who is joining us on live stream to actually join us, whether that's Facebook or LinkedIn. Go to menti.com and use the code 89002431. Right? So we talked about all about the manifestations, the behavior, of malasakit. But when is the last time you felt na walang malasakit? And what was that behavior? What was that behavior that make you feel that wala namang malasakit ito? Okay? So I'm seeing as well there's a good input there coming from the chat. If you could just, put it and encode it in our Mentimeter so that we'll be able to document and capture it. Ayun, medyo may nakakatawa, no? Meron nabasa ko din sa chat, no? Very good input. Translate that into our Mentimeter. Also for our live stream audience, coming from LinkedIn, also on Facebook. This is a
And
very
YouTube.
interesting.
Sir,
Yeah, and
also
YouTube. And YouTube,
Yes.
we're also live on YouTube. Right. Wow. Very insightful input, Kate, so far.
Reading a lot.
Yes,
More are coming.
really appreciate the input, guys. As mentioned, no one in this webinar has the monopoly of truth and expertise. We are all together here and trying to understand and amplify and bring to life the concept of malasakit. Each one of you have experienced malasakit in different ways, or the lack of malasakit as well in different ways. So I'm seeing here so far, Kate, no, insensitive, selfish. Nako, na may mga hugot ba diyan? Hugot ba 'to in your recent experiences?
Meron pa
Oh,
din crab mentality.
crab mentality. Walang anong nakalagay dito? Walang pakialam. Walang
Inconsiderate.
pakialam. Inconsiderate. Yan. Most of us are resigning, no? Parang talagang clear indication of environment where there is no malasakit, di ba? Dead
Blaming.
ma lang.
See that? Blaming.
Wow, blaming. Yan. Walang accountability. Di ba sabi natin sa malasakit, may accountability. Selfishness. Yes. Oh, inconsiderate. Wastage of resources. Nako, unfair labor practice daw.
Oh, yeah.
Oo. Tapos, ignoring lang daw. Parang walang pakialam, no? Naghihirap na yung tao katabi mo. Madali mo lang naman tututukan o matutulungan, but you chose to ignore that person. Wow.
There's also not paying
Puro
attention.
reklamo.
Oh, yes. That
Not
one
paying
also.
attention. Oo. Yan, babalik tayo sa konsepto ng pagiging selfish o makasarili. Diba? Sabi natin, ang konsepto ng malasakit goes beyond the self. It is actually wala kang malasakit kung hindi ka may sense of kapwa. And your sense of kapwa should be intense enough to compel you to help and to care compassionately and compel you to actually act.
Do something.
Not
Yes.
only, do something. Kasi hindi siya malasakit eh. Empathy lang yon at most, di ba? But without action, it is not malasakit. All right. We are really very appreciative, Kate. No, all of us here are appreciative of all of the input that we are getting from our participants. May it be from YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, and of course, for all of you who are attending our Zoom webinar link. Thank you so much for all of your input. But so far, ang nakikita ko dito that is very, very alive here, Kate, is insensitive.
That's the biggest.
Yes, the biggest. Selfish is the next one. The next one is walang pakialam.
Crab
And then,
mentality also.
and medyo masakit to sa damdamin ko bilang isang Pilipino, pero parang masakit sa damdamin na meron pa ring naniniwala at nakakaranas ng crab mentality in the workplace. So isa yan siguro sa dapat natin ding tugunan. Dahil kung talagang tunay tayong nagmamalasakit, sabi nga natin, we learn to appreciate and clap for the achievement of others, di ba? At ikaw na mismo, kasi sabi nga natin, tama-tama Kate, yung kanina pinakita mo, no? Spider-Man. With great powers come
Great
Great
responsibility.
responsibility. Kaya inaasahan din natin na kung ikaw ay mamalasakit, kung ikaw ay na-promote o nalagay sa isang pwesto, ikaw ngayon ay may responsibilidad na tulungan at iangat ang iyong kapwa, kapwa in the workplace as well. Wonderful, no? Kaya talagang parang limitless yung makukuha nating idea sa ating mga participants dahil siguro feeling ko may sari-sarili silang hugot on how they felt
Maraming
that there was
napagdaanan.
madami pinagdaanan,
Yeah.
how they were somehow, they felt that there was lack of malasakit. Diba? So I am sure na in the same fashion that we saw, there are many ways to feel malasakit. There are many ways as well that we felt and in a way
It
and
was
went through an
not
experience
lucky.
where we felt that we are not as lucky and feeling that there is lack of malasakit in that situation. So, and with this, no, hindi din nakakataba ng puso na talagang ang dami nating hugot, ang dami nating pinagdaanan. And that's why there is a certain talk about, if we go to the next slide, Eric, the question being, is malasakit in the workplace dying? Ayan, magandang pag-usapan. Sige nga, kahit ba lang sa chat, could you give your no, whether yes, no, what do you think? What do you think? No, yan, yes. Yung iba, no. No, yung iba, no. Parang ayoko. Depends, no?
So we're
Many,
seeing
yung iba, no. Ang haba-haba. Okay, because parang feeling ko, ayaw niyang mawala, di ba? Parang ano siya, pag gusto niya ipaglapan. Yung iba naman sabi, malapit na.
oh,
Malapit na. Bakit? So pag-usapan natin, bakit malapit na? Almost yung iba. Endangered species na daw ang malasakit in the workplace. It's a dying virtue. Bakit? Why is it a dying virtue? Let's go to the first bullet and let's see kung tama din yung mga iniisip-isip nyo. Kasi naman, Kate and everyone, there is an extreme focus on individual accomplishments. Di ba? So sometimes when you get promoted as a person, not as a team naman, di ba? Our ways of working, ways of rewarding, and our ways of total rewards are really more focused on individual recognition as well. Di ba? So there is a greater focus on individual accomplishments. And sometimes we actually focus more on, and when we craft our rewards and recognition, talagang una minsan afterthought lang yung teams eh. So it's good that some organizations actually have team rewards as well. And I guess that's something that we have to amplify more and more so that we don't lose this spirit of malasakit in the workplace. Next, what could be that potential issue why workplace is dying? In the workplace, malasakit is dying. It is becoming more transactional. Ano ibig sabihin nito? Parang, okay, gagawin ko to. Paggawa ko nito, tapos na. Parang wala ka nang pakialam sa overall grander scheme of things, the real purpose of the organization. Hindi ka na makakonect and feeling mo you're just doing it for the sake of doing it because you will get paid at the end of every 15th day. And once you're done, you just threw it away. Diba? So ganun ba yung mas nararamdaman natin? Is it transactional? Is it not penetrating our inner ikigai or our inner purpose or our inner goal of our, fulfillment as well of self-actualization? Ganyan na ba yung nagiging workplace natin? Yan. So that's one because it's becoming more and more transactional and we are not penetrating, the personal and innermost passions of people. No? Last one, stricter delineation between personal and professional lives, no? Ano to, medyo polemical ito, no? Kasi hindi naman talaga yung sometimes we have to create that delineation, but sometimes kung masyado nang makapal at masyado na nagiging hindi na nakikita tayo as tao na may purpose, may sariling passions in life that we are pursuing different things, not just work. Masyado tayong nababox as professionals or specialists or kung ano man yung role natin. Masyado tayong nakakahon. And our bosses probably or our colleagues are not seeing the different facets that make us the real persons that we are. Kaya siguro mas nawawala na yung malasakit kasi sabi natin, transactional lang. You're just being seen as a number. You're just being seen as a title and then not a person, no? So paano kaya natin, some of the younger workforce put walls even, no? So how do we also bridge that multi-generational workplace so that we will all be on the same page or the same workplace literally and figuratively, no? So ito yung mga nakikita natin, no? So anong gagawin natin, no? Kasi sabi niyo naman, 'di ba, madami sa inyo nagsasabi na you don't want to lose malasakit and you don't want malasakit to die in the workplace. Yung isa nga nagsabi, no, naku 15 O's yata yung sinunod niya and oh no, ang dami. So I'm feeling the same, no? I feel you. I also don't want malasakit to die because this is something that if we use properly, it amplifies a lot of things for the Filipino workforce, no? So let's see. So if we do not want malasakit to die in the workplace, we have to be mindful of the following. So, unang-una, parang to many of us, this is no-brainer. We're saying that we have to maintain respect in the workplace. Respect in many different ways. Respect that in a way, amplifies diversity. Respect amplifies uh that amplifies safe and psychologically safe environment. Yes. So that is the kind of respect that we want, not just respect to authority, but respect in a 360-degree way. Kasi sabi nga nila, it is how you treat the janitor that really shows the kind of how respectful you are as a person, right? So the next one, this is very simple yet very powerful. To those of you, especially the leaders and especially HR, you know what I'm talking about. Attention now is becoming more and more scarce, right? It is becoming a luxury. Kaya nga, sometimes the best gift that you can give a person is your utmost and focused attention and also being able to listen. And listening here is not just actually hearing the words that people say. It is actually even hearing the words that people do not say, right? And you can only do that by always paying attention, being observant. Isa sa mga pet peeves ko din is pag nag-one-on-one, sometimes either it's my staff or my boss, they would say, "Oh, I just have to wait lang. I have to answer this urgent ping that I received from my boss." No? So what does that tell me? No, if I receive that. So we are supposed to be having this one-on-one where your attention is supposed to be with me, and yet even that you're not able to give me fully. No? So parang you are letting other things steal that attention away from me. So, and yun, nadidilute na din yung value, nadidilute na yung trust, and then we would feel that this leader or this direct report does not show enough malasakit in the transaction of things. And that's why there is also the importance of presence and availability. Very simple things that would actually work wonder. When is the last time when you had your boss or your direct report become really present, not being disturbed by their mobile phones, and then also not canceling on you in terms of your meeting, in terms of your one-on-one? That is the most important way of really, sparking malasakit in the workplace and how you make people feel. And how can you make people feel good if you're not paying attention, if you're not listening, and if you're not present, and if you're not available? So those are the things that we really should ask ourselves. And no brainer again, it is amplified by teamwork and team building. So again, magi-end ng year and we will start with our new calendar year. And for some of us, the fiscal year and the calendar year are the same. We have to make sure that we are also redefining the kind of team building. Tayo lang ba yung puro activities lang? Puro games lang ba tayo? Or is there a way to have a new way of building teams? Ang team building is, in its root word, you have to build teams, no? So if you're building teams by activities or games, good. It's good. I'm not saying anything wrong about that. But what I'm asking is, are there other ways that we can go deeper in terms of understanding, knowing people better, understanding their personalities, understanding their strengths, understanding them as people, and how we can help them as a team? Sometimes we just have to pause and have that, heart to heart talk, which really goes a long, long way. And sometimes people will just say na, buti na lang nakausap mo ako, sir, or ma'am, because of that, I'm able really to break out of my shell and contribute more to the team. And sometimes, just pausing and giving time and space for that person and your full presence would really make a difference for that person. And of course, last but not the least, we as HR as well should really amplify the CSR, and that's our own way of really doing bayanihan. No, of course there are so many ways of demonstrating bayanihan, but this is the more structured way that you could actually design it. No, and once lahat tayo medyo okay na and it's part of our culture, it's second nature to us. There are many ways of showing bayanihan in the workplace. But just like the children, yung toddlers, kailangan nating maglagay lang ng andador or walker to help the toddlers walk. So once we have those frameworks in place and once natuto na yung mga tao, bayanihan will be second nature to them. No? So I hope that that's something that you can all agree, because all of these things, no, parang hindi siya rocket science when we talk about how do you revive and rebuild malasakit in the workplace, knowing that it is in danger of being extinct in the professional world or in the corporate world. Next slide, please. We all say that it is all about leadership and it starts with leadership, no? So we as leaders and even HR practitioners, we have to lead the way. So the first one, the first in the cycle is really creating a caring leadership, no? So if your leadership demonstrates real care, it really empowers the employees. And once you have that, it opens up to the next cycle, which is Eric, next slide. The cycle of positive workplace culture. You are only able to build this if you, as leaders, actually demonstrate and actually foster and actually promote and create avenues for more collaborative environment, which would lead you to the third cycle, which is, and because you have that collaborative spirit, empowered spirit, there is greater team productivity, And of course, you amplify that, but with your own recognition and appreciation. And of course, you have your own ways of motivating the teams, which should lead you to the fourth cycle, which is continual improvement. Sabi nga natin, di ba, in an environment where there is malasakit, you'd always see things continuing for the better. You don't rest in just excellent, because the excellent of today may not be the excellent of tomorrow. So we have to continue. Dahil may malasakit tayo, we want to constantly evolve and become better versions of ourselves, and thus helping the organization become a better version of itself as well for the future. And last but not the least, enhanced well-being cycle. When we say well-being, it's actually a real supportive ecosystem where people feel relaxed, they feel that the environment is safe, they could experiment, they could be creative, they could innovate, they could share thoughts as well without feeling that there'll be repercussions. They can be themselves. That's why there is diversity. So you can be in the workplace who you are, and the best version of who you are, and all of these enhanced well-being environment would create better leaders in the future. And then the cycle will go on and on. And that is the kind of environment that hopefully we will all foster when we create a malasakit environment. Moving on to the next slide, I know we are pressed for time. And then what are our responsibilities as leaders, not only as HR leaders, but leaders of people leaders. So number one, I have 10 and we will just be fast here. So prioritize employee welfare. Sometimes KPI, when we see KPIs, there are two sides of the KPI. So KPI, when it comes to production, also entails another KPI from a well-being perspective. We have to ensure that there is a sweet spot and sweet balance. No, you just don't get a whiplash and try to extract everything you can extract from people, because we are here, as you can see in the cycle. It's not a sprint, it's a marathon. It's for the long haul. It's really more for a sustainable future and sustainable growth. So we have to make sure that we are taking care of our employees as we take care of our operational KPIs. The next one, please. Yan. Very same, no? So it is elaborated, just elaborated in a different fashion, but basically hitting the same spot. Third bullet, please. Yan. As we mentioned before, no, not rocket science, but active listening, understanding the person not only on what he or she says, but also on what he or she does not say. It's very important to us to really be very observant. And you cannot be observant if you are not present. That's why your presence is very much appreciated. Presence in terms of being there, not just physically, but being there spiritually, emotionally. You have to be fully invested in your people. Fourth one, please. Creating a safe space. We all talked about this, right? So you cannot have a malasakit environment where there is full of fear and fear of repercussions, fear of being branded or labeled. It has to be a safe environment where you can also foster a lot of innovation and a lot of balance, so to speak. There you go. So three more. What is your responsibility as a leader? We have three more points here. The next one is, good, Eric. Emphasizing meaningful conversations. I cannot emphasize this enough, that we all start with very meaningful, very engrossing, and enriching conversation. Hindi ba yung every time that you would set an one-on-one with your people, parang ayaw nila at gustong-gusto nilang makancel? That is also a test whether you are creating the right environment or not. That if you have enough malasakit, so that people would really be eager to go to that meeting and be a better person after that meeting, after that one-on-one. Next slide. And you can only do that by being very sensitive to their personal concerns. And you will not be able to do that if you're not doing your one-on-one. So again, remember, you have to be present, you have to be actively listening, and you can only do that by conducting your own respective one-on-one. That's why there is an emphasis on meaningful conversation. And last but not the least, very simple, but very, very worthwhile doing. Just simply saying, how are you? Sometimes we're doing and using how are you as a form of hello, as a greeting. But no, we have to change this. The how are you should be with a lot of spirit, a lot of care, a lot of compassion, a lot of malasakit. Some of us actually learned this during the pandemic, but again, somehow I observed that this is in a way dying, but we have to revive this. We really have to revive this. Next. Now I'm moving on to my penultimate slide because I know we're pressed for time. How do you institutionalize malasakit? Let's, push this to the gear. Ito yung talagang mga examples na you can operationalize and put in practice. So we can just go ahead, just put everything there so we could just go very quickly. Incorporate elements, sorry, go back. Incorporate elements of malasakit in your company values. I'm sure some of you have actually done that as well. So if you don't actually have malasakit in your corporate values, at least those elements, alam natin na may iba't ibang elements yon, try to incorporate them. No, sometimes when you provide statements in each of the values, some of those statements could actually be malasakit statements. So, try that so that we can amplify that, especially if you are an HR practitioner who have direct influence over this. Have a strong onboarding program. I can never emphasize this enough, that a strong onboarding program actually influences the whole culture of the person. You somehow make the person really feel and set that person up for success. Amplify by building activities around those values. We all know that. All of our rewards and recognition amplified through that. And integrate in your professional and leadership programs. So I'm sure some of you would have, middle management leadership program. You're also having your emerging leadership program, and so on and so forth. Try to ensure that you amplify that and integrate that in the training, because sometimes our leaders would really need some refresher on all of these programs and courses. I also mentioned the importance of one-on-one. Don't take that for granted. It is one of the most powerful and long-lasting impact a leader can have. And then the last slide, I promise this is the last one. Let's bring this home. And just go aside. Redesign. What do we redesign? Redesign your recognition program towards the Malasakit framework. Revitalize your holistic wellness program, including employee assistance program, where you can have more coaches, psychological assistants, and more than that, teach your leaders to become coaches themselves. Reinvigorate employee interest groups. Empower them. Why? Because you will build a sense of belonging where people with the same sense of kapwa, same interest, they amplify that. And once they amplify that in their own groups, that would grow to the whole organization. And then re-engineer team building activities. It's not just games. It's not just physical activities. Have you had your personality exam? Have you had your, tell me a story of your childhood experience? Things like those would really open up things for you. I know that, sometimes because of big teams, we are not able to do this. But probably when we do our big team building with activities, we can break down groups, organic groups, and have a more intimate, redesigned team building activities with a more personalized and malasakit touch. And last but not the least, refresh your CSR programs with a lens of malasakit. And you're not just doing this because you're doling out money or you're giving out, old clothes and books. You do that with the end in mind and amplifying real care, real empathy, kapwa, pananagutan, bayanihan in the workplace. So with that, thank you so much. I hope we still have time for a few questions. So I'm turning it back to Kate. Kate, thank you for this opportunity. I really had to rush those few lines. I'm mindful of the time.
Thank you so much, Sir Eric. Don't worry, we don't mind because we learned a lot from you. Now, we are opening the floor for questions. So for those of you who have questions, you can either click the raise hand button or type your questions here in the chat box. Just in case your question is sensitive in nature, you can send it privately to me here in the chat box. And when I read them, I will not be reading your name. Okay, so it will be an anonymous question. Okay, let me check the chat box. Baka meron ng mga nag-type ng kanilang questions. We have a question here, Sir Eric, so let me read it.
Sure, let's do it.
Here's the first question. Should leaders be the one to start creating a caring or malasakit culture?
Yeah, so of course, definitely every one of us is empowered to start that conflagration of malasakit culture, right? Everyone, and especially if you think of yourself as a leader, we have our own capabilities to spark that fire. However, from a concept of a real leader would have that responsibility, would have that pananagutan to really ensure that they're leading the way. Because who else would have that capability and framework and even responsibility in the organization? You never know your actual influence in the organization until the end of your journey as a leader. Sometimes you just look back and you would just wish to say, I should have done this so that more people would have been influenced and changed because of that action. You don't want to be that leader that would have a lot of regret in the future. So I ask you and I implore you to actually, be real leaders and be real leaders that have malasakit in the workplace. You start this because the cycle starts with you.
Thank you for that. And moving on to our next question. This one is from Limara. Here's the question. How can employees and leaders hold each other accountable for practicing malasakit?
Ayun. Napakagandang tanong. Maganda yan kasi there is just not one direct answer there. But the great thing here there is it's all about culture building. And much like any other culture, it does not go overnight. It's not done overnight. So ang maganda niyan is unti-unti nating i-permeate. It starts with the leader. And when the leader, if you're a real leader, sabi nga natin ang tunay na malasakit ay may pananagutan, may ownership, may accountability. And malasakit in its truest sense, and if people adopt it, they will feel that they would be co-accountable. Remember, this is bayanihan. And in bayanihan, there is just no one person. Everyone would have to carry. Na-imagine mo ba, Kate, yung talagang unang essence of bayanihan, what's the picture that comes to mind? Lahat kayo nagbubuhat ng isang kubo.
The kubo,
Lahat
yes.
kayo. Sabay-sabay kayong nagbubuhat. No? Kumbaga, it is a shared responsibility. Pag may isang pumalag dyan at umalagwa, mas mabibigatan yung iba. And potentially, pwedeng bumagsak yung kubo. So it's important for us to have that real mindset of malasakit where everyone has a shared responsibility in fostering this kind of environment. And yun nga, sabi nga natin, you will only see that the reality of malasakit where people actually don't mind raising their voice, making people accountable because that's the essence of malasakit eh. Kung nahihiya pa kayo magsabi o mag-raise ang hand, ibig sabihin hindi pa puno ng malasakit yung environment. Meron pa ring, sabi natin, di ba, paano nyo malalaman that there's lack of malasakit? Blame gaming. No accountability. Walang pakialam. So the more that we amplify malasakit, the more that we enforce that shared responsibility and shared accountability. But then again, this does not take away the responsibility of the leaders to actually lead the way and start that cycle.
Okay, thank you. We have another question, and this is not the first question. It's the same theme. So we have, I think, around 3 questions already about this. What are effective ways to encourage the millennials, the Gen Z, to have malasakit in the workplace?
You know, Kate, ito yung experience ko no in my 25 years of being in HR. My real guide to all of the leaders is really have be faithful to your one-on-one. Ang lahat ng ito ay nalulunasan when you connect to the person as a person. Wala na kayong ibang opportunity. Of course, sometimes, nagla-lunch naman kami, nag-uusap kami in an informal way, di ba? Mas relax yun, mas personalized, parang you don't bring up walls kasi it's in a safe environment. Pero iba pa rin yung makikipag heart-to-heart talk ka with a person, asking the person, kamusta ka naman, ano bang difficulties mo, how can I help you, how are you today? Yung mga simple acts of questioning in that sense really brings to life. No, sabi ko nga naman sa'yo, hindi naman siya overnight magagawa mo yun eh. Sometimes you also don't win the person's trust overnight. But if you do that on a regular basis, you know, that employee would read you whether you're authentic or whether you're a fraud. But if you are authentically, sabi nga natin, authentic caring for the people, that's the real malasakit. We'll see through you if you're being authentic and caring for them, and they will bear their souls. At the end of the day, we're all human beings. We're separated by generations for sure. But if we start that caring process on a person-to-person basis, we break down walls, we just strip them off of their generational idiosyncrasies. At the end of the day, we're all human beings wanting to care for each other, and that would amplify malasakit in the workplace.
Oh, thank you so much. That's very beautiful. Yes, and I really agree with what you said, Sir Eric. Talaga, you really have to show malasakit also para matutunan nila.
Very true.
Yeah.
Very true.
Okay, I'll move on to the next question. How can you show malasakit toward a coworker without him or her thinking na kailangan they have to repay you? The term is utang na loob.
Kasi yung malasakit, we also don't know how to control the psyche of other people because the interpretation of your action is, exposed to everyone. You cannot control how people would interpret your actions. Pero ikaw naman, ang sabi natin, sa malasakit, you are compelled to do something and that something is, and you don't ask anything in your turn. Nasa tao yun na gumagawa. Siguro sa iba, they might see it differently and of course we don't have direct control over it. But siguro makikita din yan through time. Kasi Kate, pag ikaw ay laging gumagawa at walang sumbat, o hindi ka naghihintay ng kahit ano, makikita nila na dalisay yung iyong pakikitungo at dalisay ang iyong paggawa ng kabutihan. So, it's a test of time. Again, on the onset, hindi natin makokontrol kung anong reaction nila. But time is the good test of that as well. At kung ano yung bunga ng kabutihang ginagawa mo. So again, everything is through time, kagaya ng sinasabi nating one-on-one, and actually authentic caring for the people is revealed through time as well.
Okay, thank you so much. I think we have time for 2 more questions. Here's another question. Here, this one is from Almira Jane. I just want to ask, how can malasakit be regained towards a colleague or a person in general who has been very unprofessional and disrespectful towards a work environment?
Ayun,
May
oo.
hugot si
May
Almira's
hugot,
question.
may hugot, oo. So remember when we say, what malasakit is not, no? So maganda din nating isipin 'yun. So malasakit is not being too lenient or parang 'di ba, overly lenient. Malasakit is also not, blindly being generous. So papabayaan mo na lang ba siya? Malasakit is also telling the person for his or her benefit as well on how he or she can become a more productive, effective, and successful member of the workforce. So sometimes malasakit is also calling out how that person could improve with love and care, of course. So person for may mga styles naman tayo diyan eh, no, na natutunan natin yan sa effective giving and receiving feedback. But definitely, ang tunay na malasakit is understanding as well that you have to provide objective, caring feedback, though difficult that feedback may be.
Okay, thank you so much for that. And I am seeing some participants raising their hands. Jasmine, can you turn on your camera, please, and unmute so you can ask your question directly? Jasmine Altar, please raise your hand. I'm sorry, open your camera and unmute. Jasmine, are you able to? Okay, I think Jasmine's not yet ready. Alexander, if you're able to open your camera and unmute, please, so you can ask your question. We have
Hello,
Alexander.
good afternoon po.
Yes, hi Alexander. I would love to see you. Please turn on your camera.
Ah, uh, wait. Uh, how do you say it? Na-mention po kasi na parang the millennials are more or less hindi nila nafe-feel. Parang hindi naman na-offend na since I'm also part of the millennials na parang most of the millennials ay walang malasakit sa workplace. But what can you suggest if subordinates don't feel any quote-unquote malasakit from the subordinates na kaya minsan subordinates nagre-resign na lang? That's my
Mm.
question.
Alex, anong ang pagkakaintindi ko yung subordinates nagre-resign na lang kasi hindi nila nararamdaman yung malasakit coming from their supervisor?
Correct. Correct.
Oo, oo. Oo, yun ang eventuality sabi nga natin 'di ba, sinabi niyo na, a workplace where everyone just resigns, that is a place where there is no malasakit. And sabi natin, malasakit starts with the leaders, 'no? So, ngayon matanong ko nga, ito bang leader na 'to ay nagko-conduct ng kanyang one-on-one sa mga empleyado? Or ito bang leader na 'to ay, able to be present, available, o baka nahirapan mismo yung mga tao niya na to get a hold of him or her. So yun din siguro yung mga katanungan ko for us to have a good gauge whether totoo bang walang malasakit yung leader.
Alexander. Oh, I think he is on mute.
Ay, sorry. May mga part kasi na since I'm part of the HR department, may mga nakakausap ako na empleyado na some of the leaders or superior or the heads or supervisor, hindi sila approachable at nahihirapan yung mga subordinates na i-reach out yung mga leaders nila. Na supposedly, as you have mentioned, being a leader, dapat siya yung magre-reach out dun sa mga subordinates nila. Pero hindi sila nagtutugma kasi natatakot na si subordinates kasi may time na, may natatakot yun. May mga ganong instances kasi sa isang company or industry. Yeah.
Tama, Alexander, medyo observation ko rin yan, ano? Kasi nanggaling tayo sa isang sitwasyon historically na yung mga boss nilalagay natin sa pedestal, 'di ba?
Correct, correct.
Oo, 'di ba? Sa mga ivory towers nila na sometimes boss 'yan. Pag yung mga boss magdadaan, natatakot na yung mga tao dahil uso yung sigawan, uso yung mga panghihiya, yung mga ganyan. Siguro dapat bilang nasa HR, tulungan din natin sila na mag-transition to the new ways of leading. So sabi nga
Mm.
natin, no, so madami din tayo sa Arriva Academy na pwedeng matutunan kasi gaya ng the heart of leadership kasi nagbabago na ang pamamaraan ng pagiging pinuno sa workplace ngayon. Dati, kumbaga, ikaw ay kinakatakutan dahil ikaw ay laging tama at hindi ka na pwedeng magkamali as a leader. Ngayon, you embrace your vulnerability, 'di ba? Na alam mo na pwede kagaya nilang lahat, tayo ay natututo, tayo ay hindi perpekto, at in-embrace natin 'yun dahil tayo ay tao lamang. And because of that, we're able to be more sensitive and be more empathetic in the workplace, no? Tapos tuturuan din natin sila na magkaroon ng compassion and empathy, and sensitivity and vulnerability. So yan yung mga bagong konsepto na sana matutunan ng ating mga pinuno na of course hindi siya
Correct.
overnight, pero feeling
Mm.
ko makakatulong yung mga programs kagaya ng no, mga inoffer nila Kate kanina sa Arriva na how do we transition the old ways of leading to the new ways of leading that are more apt for our new workers. Kasi mga new workers natin, they need greater caring, they need greater vulnerability and sensitiveness and empathy. Medyo fragile din sila and they need a bit more hand-holding. So those are, the new landscape. That's why we as leaders should also be agile enough to lead in the new ways of work.
There you go. I hope that answered your question, Alexander. Thank you for asking that question and thank you for that, Sir Eric. One last question. Ayun, I see nag-heart si Alexander. That means he appreciates the answer.
Thank you,
One
Alexander.
last question. The question is, we know that malasakit can be abused. How can we prevent the company from abusing us when they are teaching us the malasakit culture?
Mm. Ang tunay na malasakit, ang sabi nga natin, ang tunay na malasakit ay not being blindly generous, not being blindly lenient, and not only for the good of the company, but for the good of all, di ba? So it's a reminder, no? Kasi that's why it's good to define what malasakit is, and it's also good to define what it is not. And all of us learned actually that, with all sense of purposes of care, compassion, empathy, and pananagutan, and everything else that is all good, malasakit is actually at the end of the day and in the long run for the good of all or for the many. So kung ang ginagawa ng kumpanya ay para lang sa ikaangat ng revenue or profit, it is not for the good of many and it's not malasakit in a real sense. Because at the end of the day, the company is already digging their own grave. Kasi sabi natin, baka ngayon hindi nakikita ng mga manggagawa na ganun yung ginagawa. Pero kung patuloy na gagawin to ng kumpanya, sila na mismo ang mababaon sa lusak in a way, that you will see that the the company will not profit, the company will not be productive. Kasi kita nyo naman ito yung nabibigay ng company: engagement, productivity, innovation, safe space. So ang kabaliktaran nun ay losses, unproductivity, people clamoring, people not, people attacking each other, loss of trust. So that is all detrimental to the organization, you know, not in the long run, but probably more immediately. So we have to if the CEO is wise enough, then the CEO would see the writings on the wall.
So there you have it. Thank you so much, Sir Eric. You have been very generous the whole afternoon. Napakarami naming natutunan from you, from your sharing, and from all of our participants. With the questions that they've asked, we also learned a lot from them.
Most definitely.
So thank you. Sir Eric, would like to present you with a certificate. Thank you. Thank you, Sir Eric, for always saying yes to Arriva Academy, for sharing your wisdom to everyone. And now, before we end our session, I would like to invite everyone to turn on their cameras, please. Let's have a group photo with our speaker. So please make sure, if you're able to, please turn on your cameras. Ayan, we'd love to be able to be with you in this group photo. Nakita ko mga nag-aayos na. Okay, let me call on our technical director, Direct Eric. Please help us out with this group photo.
Okay, thank you so much, Miss Kate. So good day, everyone. So we have 2 shots of group picture for this PM session. Okay, you ready for the first shot, guys? Come on. Okay, here we go. For the first shot, can you show us your beautiful smiles? Yes, come on. Okay, here we go. And 3, 2, 1. Okay, and first, second shot, can we do a 2 thumbs up? Yes, how about 2 thumbs up? Okay, here we go. And 2 thumbs up in 3, 2, 1. Okay, thank you so much. Back to you, Miss Kate.
Thank you so much, Eric. Thank you, Direct Eric. From everyone from Arriva Academy, thank you so much for being with us. Maraming salamat. We really enjoyed being with all of you this afternoon. It was a fun, free live webinar full of learning for all of us. Thank you, and we're looking forward to seeing you again next time in our other free learning events. Thank you so much, everyone. God bless you all.